Okay, it's ready. All right. You should be good. All right.
Are we getting this painting too? Or
Yep,
drawing?
we are, yeah.
Shaping. I mean, that's another little part of my trademark, those drawings.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's start by me asking, it's already recording, yeah. All right, so why is exercise so important to you?
It's my life. I've exercised from the time my father died, but even before then, I was in Europe, and calisthenics is part of everybody's life. People stay active there. It's not a question of going to a gym or something like that. No, it's part of life. They'll walk. They do hiking, I mean, it's not now we exercise, it's part of the lifestyle in Europe. Anyway, so my first phase of exercise was calisthenics, then came jogging, and of course there were sports in between. Soccer and race walking was my big thing, but I was already 75 years old when I started the race walking. And that was an extremely good activity because it didn't tax the joints that much.
How old were you when you ran your first marathon?
Well, it was in 1995, and they were all done in a 2-year period. In fact, I think they were almost all done in not the same year, couldn't have been, in 2 consecutive years, twice in New York, once in Stockholm, one in Copenhagen, and once up in Boston.
So you were 61, 62, 63 at the time then.
Is that what
right?
is that what
95, 28 years ago? Yeah.
I guess so. I'm telling you, the numbers are, getting out of control.
Well, when you exercise today, what are your goals? In other words, are you working toward strength or endurance or mobility? Which of those is one of those more important than the others to you at your age?
Well, they're all important, let's put it that way. Strength is not important, but certainly to keep the muscles working. And so when I do my outdoor exercise, which I do with 2-pound weights on my wrists, I wish I could show you, they help, help my shoulder joints. And what do you call that when the muscles need toning? So that helps that. But when I'm indoors and I do my morning exercises, the emphasis is on blood circulation and stimulation, especially of the spine, rotation of pelvis and torso. And of course, the inversion on the table is important because it opens the spine in millimeters. So that little bit helps.
I was like, is this a new word, mini millimeters?
I guess it is. Mini millimeters is what I meant to say.
See, I was reading your mind.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, and even on the inversion machine, it's a question of twisting the body and exercising every portion, the cervical spine, the thoracic spine, the lumbar spine, and the exercises for the cervical portion of the spine are particularly important. That's when I resist pushing my head forward and then release it, pushing my head backwards and releasing it. But all at longer counts, I'm only just demonstrating a little part of it, and also the side, and then resisting it and then extending it, because that's a particular feature biologically of muscles. Both the long and the short muscles, they want to be resisted and then they want to be released.
Do you have any physical or health-related restrictions or limitations that impact your workout today compared to, say, 5, 10 years ago?
You're asking some questions, of course, that hit at the heart of the issue. By the way, speaking about the heart, I actually have a heart monitor on right now because I'm experiencing more fatigue than I normally like. And I've asked various doctors to figure out what the problem is with a laryngologist. No, that's another issue. But a pulmonary specialist, with a cardiologist, and I was supposed to meet with my GP today, but he's on his way back from India, so my appointment today was canceled. But what was the question especially, did you say?
Yeah, do you have any restrictions or limitations to your workout today compared to 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah, well, the restrictions is simply that to do what I did 5 years ago at 60 minutes, I do today at 90 minutes. So that is That's a horrible figure. I think that would be considered a 50% deterioration over the period of 5 years. But I'm using the figures more like 10 years ago, 10 to my age now, over a 10-year period. That's how much deterioration. Yeah, no, I'm doing exactly the same exercises, I'm lucky for that. You know, if I was near wood right now, I'd be knocking it. I do race walk in the park. I do retro walk. I do spinnings, which is very important for all the joints to feel that diagonal motion in the, people do exercising in the lateral motion. You need cross exercising also on a particular joint. So that's why I like to do the spins. And the other thing I do, believe it or not, I walk blind. Close my eyes and take 20 steps, 20 steps, 20 steps, blind. I mean, I stop, then watch, then do it again. That's why I like to work at night, because there's no other traffic there.
What's the benefit of that specific thing?
That's
walking with your eyes closed.
There's no way of knowing really. It's an internal balance system and it takes a different type of brain to be able either to trust you.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like obviously if your eyes are closed, it puts you inside your head and more awareness of your body and your body in relation to the surroundings around you.
I think that's a little part of it, but I think it's even more important than that. Even the retro walking it takes a different neurological response, and walking blind trains a different part of your brain that you don't normally use. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, the purpose. I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a neuro, whatever.
So you said that a workout that would have been 60 minutes 10 years ago would be 90 minutes today for you.
Correct.
How much time do you commit to exercise each day?
Well, again, that dropped. Each day. Well, I do 8 minutes on the inversion table. I do 2 or 3 minutes on the bed where I do the crunching, the undulations, and that's my heart monitor. See, my friends here.
See, I got you excited.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the undulations of the spine are very important, arching and crunching, whatever you want to call it. And then shifting the windshield thing that I call, which, puts the pelvis in one direction and the torso in the other. I do the same thing on the inversion machine. I do regularly, 8 minutes on that one, 3 of this. But the outdoor exercises, that's another story completely. I used to do it 3 times a week, which is 12 times a month. Right now I'm down to 2.5 times. And I'm afraid that within this year, I may have to go down to 2, which is only 8 times a month. At the moment, I'm still doing 10. And I think I'm doing fine. It's a long workout, and there's a lot of parts of it. And the last part of it is, of course, climbing the stairs in my building, 20 flights. I do it alternate months, forwards, backwards. February here, I'm walking it backwards. And I just started that a couple of days ago. I was frightened that I wouldn't be able to do it. But it really, I really adjusted very quickly, because you don't know where you are as you step backwards, So whatever it is, it's still working for me. So,
what advice would you give to people, maybe not around your age, but people over 60, over 70, who haven't really done a lot of exercising and they want to start a regimen?
Are you actually asking for yourself? No. You may well be. I don't know.
No, I'm asking for myself, but.
Yeah, no. Well,
I have a regimen, but
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that you.
No.
I mean, both my daughters are heavy exercisers, and one of my daughters is training to be a marathon runner. The only reason I bring that up is because they know Dad is a exerciser for life, and they've seen me in all facets of my exercising. I mean, even when they were going to college, I would be jogging on their campus site. One of my daughters was at Oswego, SUNY. There's a lake there. I was there just for one weekend. I've worked out 3 times that very weekend visiting her. My other daughter was at Syracuse University. When I visit a friend in Los Angeles or San Francisco, I try to figure out what route can I take. When I visit somebody in Martha's Vineyard, I want to know where can I jog. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's perpetual. It's ongoing.
What about the mental part of it? If you've kind of had a bad habit, let's say, or you've not been very good at taking care of yourself at exercising, how do you suggest people overcome that and get into a routine?
I don't know. I just feel sorry for them, and I don't know. Maybe they can start little by little. I think then they get the taste of it. They realize that their body being stimulated is different from the more static state. I mean, we got to realize that we're no longer farmers. We are whatever it's called, sedentary.
Right, sedentary. Yeah. Should older people focus more on cardio than strength training, or both?
Well, depending on your age. Cardiovascular is the primary one, and the other one is flexibility, frankly, to keep the joints to keep the range of motion in your shoulder joint, your knee joints, your ankle joints. Yes, no, strength is of the three parts of exercising would be number 3, not number 1 or 2.
So cardio.
But I mean, if you're a macho man and you want to, prim in front of women do respond well to muscles. They do like to see a healthy man, but unfortunately here in America, I think they associate muscle with health. So that's a problem.
I think that's pretty good. You think we need some more? It's about 12, 13 minutes.
I don't know.
I feel like we covered pretty much everything we did the other day, but I just kind of, came at you a little bit differently.
Yeah, no, it was different. I was surprised by the questions, but I don't even want to compare it because I don't remember what we did yesterday.
Right. I feel pretty good about it. Is there a question you want me to ask you? Is there something you want to say that you want to edit into the
We're
piece?
talking about just the exercise world, right?
Yeah.
The indoor and the outdoor world.
Both,
I mean, there
yeah.
are two separate types of worlds.
Yeah.
Because the outdoor is cardiovascular all the way, and with cross training, of course.
Right.
And the indoor is more flexibility, and it's stimulation of the spine, and all of it. Spine is the primary organ that exercise is important for. Of course, also the lungs and the heart.
Right. Well, which is where the inversion table comes in probably the most, right?
Well,
I mean,
you're not doing cardiovascular when you're doing inversion.
right, but I mean,
There's no
as
stress.
far as the spine goes, I mean,
Yes,
as
spine.
far as what benefits the spine.
The spine. Yeah, no, no, that inversion is a passive thing. It's you're only just stretching from vertebrae to vertebrae, the pad. It's passive. You need active activity, like twisting, bending forward, reaching.
Gotcha. I kind of covered it. I've asked you 7 or 8 questions. I think we're good.
Okay, let's stop.